Trends, they come and go all the time. Think about it, right? Fidget spinners, Pokemon Go. And when I was a kid, what I was into was breakdancing. Anyway, the car world is no different. It loves a good fad. Some are good, I like a bit of bling. Some are terrible, which is utter gash. That brings me on to the most annoying new trends on modern cars. Let's kick off with my personally most hated modern car trend, and that, of course, is fake exhausts. I mean, what is the point? Either have an exhaust or don't. Okay, I could maybe forgive it on some little hatchback they're trying to make look more sporty, but on a performance car, there's no need to have fake exhausts. The worst offender, I think, is the new Audi S6. So it's a diesel engine, but they give it exhaust like it's still got a V8 petrol. In fact, those exhausts, they look a little bit like coffee cups which have been chrome plated and then just stuck on. It's inexcusable. The sooner this stops, the better. At least we won't have it with electric cars, I guess. Next, we come to touchscreens. Now, we're all used to touchscreens because of our phones, and they are very useful on cars. The only problem is when certain manufacturers decide to have all the controls for the climate through the touchscreen, so you end up having to faff around trying to do things like turn down the temperature or turn it up or reduce the fan speed, and it's very difficult to do when you're driving, so sometimes you end up just waiting for the traffic lights to be able to do it. Why don't they just have like a normal knob? It's just dead easy. Just simple. Keep the climate control separate from the main touchscreen, please. Some cars sound a bit boring. It's just the nature of the beast. But then certain manufacturers try to hide this by playing fake exhaust noises through a car's internal speakers. Now, it does sort of work when you're driving along, and it can make a diesel engine sound like a performance petrol from the inside. BMW is a company that does that a lot. It is quite annoying because on the outside people just hear the rattle of a diesel. What is worse though is when certain manufacturers then try to hide the external rattle of a diesel. Skoda is one manufacturer that has done that with its VRS Kodiaq. Yeah, it actually has a speaker which plays a V8 petrol noise from the rear of the car. The absolute worst offender though was a tuned Ford Transit van I drove for a drag race. It was clearly a diesel. Yeah, it was supposed to sound like some kind of performance car. And it didn't. It wasn't convincing at all. Massive grills. They are all the rage nowadays, and manufacturers are trying to outdo each other by seeing how big they can make their car's grill. BMW is an obvious offender. What is weird though is that BMW has fitted a massive grille to its i4 electric car. An electric car doesn't need a big grille. But BMW isn't the only offender. Audi has a huge grille on its e-tron, and the grille is actually bigger than the Q5, which does need a grille because it's got an internal combustion engine. Mercedes is the same. Its EQC has a fake grille. Why? Tesla doesn't have fake grills. Though to be fair, Teslas do sort of look a little bit fish-like from the front. Maybe that's why they put the grills on the electric cars then. I don't know. But can we stop it? Figure it out, guys. Come on. Some cars have really cool names. The Ford Mustang, the Rolls-Royce Phantom, and then even the Dacia Duster. Quite like that name. Other manufacturers like to keep it a bit more simple. They give their car like a number designation or a letter, and then some number to denote the size of the engine. And it all used to be pretty easy to follow. For instance, a BMW 330i would have a 3-litre petrol engine. Simple. However, today, the 330i has a 2-litre turbocharged engine instead. Audi models used to have the size of the engine on the back of the car, but now they've just given them some random number. For instance, the A435 has a 2-litre turbo petrol engine. And then there's the Mercedes CLA 180. Does that have a 1.8-litre engine? No, it doesn't. It has a 1.3-litre engine with 136 horsepower. If fake exhausts weren't bad enough, there is another element of fakery going on with modern cars, and it is, of course, fake vents. Now, they fit them to cars to make them look a bit more sporty or to help break up the design, but still, I don't like them. They look tacky, especially those on the Honda Civic Type R. Then there's the Audi RSQ8, and they fit them at the back, next to the biggish exhausts, which are semi-fake in themselves. A really bad offender, though, for me, is the Toyota Supra. Now, this is a sporty car, but it has quite a lot of fake vents on it, and they're clearly very fake. When I were a lad, all new cars come with spare wheel. It were right nice. But today though, where are they all gone? Eh? That's right. While most new cars will have like a recess area in the boot for a spare wheel, you don't get one. Instead, you get some tyre sealant goo. Now, I understand why manufacturers don't give you a spare wheel as standard. One, they increase the cost of the car, which I'll pass on to you, the consumer. And two, it increases the car's weight. An increased weight means less fuel efficiency, which means slightly more emissions. Now, really that doesn't matter to you because the difference is tiny. But when you multiply that up against all the cars sold by a manufacturer, it does mean the difference maybe between them making some emissions target and not making it. And if they fail to meet the emissions target, they'll get fined. That's why you don't get a spare wheel. The next thing I'm going to talk about is a trend that I think is just about to start, and we need to stop it from happening. So BMW is offering an illuminated grille on its X6 because that car isn't showy enough already. And you can imagine that if some people buy that, Audi and Mercedes will be going, oh, look at them over there. We should definitely copy that. And next thing you know, it spirals out of control and every car has got an illuminated grille. It's a bit like truckers when they put extra lights on the front of their trucks. It's just terrible and tacky. Please, we must stop this. So click on the pop-out banner up there to vote whether you think illuminated grilles should be outlawed right now. Kill them instantly at birth. Stop it happening. Come on guys, vote. We all know that sometimes you can have too much of a good thing, and that applies to gear. No, not that kind of gear. I mean the gears that you have in gearboxes on cars. Now, the more gears you have, it does allow the car to keep the engine running in its most optimal rev range, which is a good thing for economy and performance, but sometimes you can just have too many gears. I think 6, quite frankly, is enough, and 7 is acceptable. But some cars have 8, 9, and even 10 gears in their gearboxes. And the problem with that is that sometimes the systems can get a bit confused and they can never quite decide which gear to be in. Also, if you have more gears, you have more weight, which reduces your economy, so there's this battle of efficiency. And then there's the fact that with more gears, there's more things to go wrong. Surely. One of the weirdest new trends revolves around carbon fibre. And it's not fake carbon fibre trim, which you do get on certain cars like the exterior of a Honda Civic Type R. I'm talking about fake carbon fibre on the seats. Now, the culprits for this new trend are Volkswagen, Skoda and Peugeot. They have this weird kind of vinyl seat covering with a carbon fibre weave look in it. I don't really know what to say about it. What do you think about it? Let me know in the comments below. Carbon fibre effect on seats. Madness. It's bad enough that people can just go on eBay and buy something like an M badge, stick it on their old 318D and pretend they have an M car. But, you know, manufacturers are pretty much just as bad. BMW, perfect example, M Sport, which basically is just a styling kit. Audi does the same with its S-Line. So the S models of Audi are pretty quick, but S-Line, you can have it on basic diesels if you want to. Then there's Mercedes with its AMG line, Volkswagen with its R line, there's Peugeot with its GT line, like who cares? And even Hyundai now has N line. Yep, manufacturers aren't afraid to rinse out their performance brands to make a little bit of extra cash. Another new fad is the use of piano black trim in cars. Now, you actually got piano black wood in cars such as Rolls Royces, which is actually the proper wood, whereas lesser cars have a fake effect, which is more just a piece of plastic. Looks good though. It looks good in the showroom, but it can actually get on your nerves in reality. The first thing about it that's annoying is that when you're driving, it does reflect pretty badly, so you get flickering in your peripheral vision. Then there's the fact that if you so much as touch it, it will scratch. It'll scratch, even just if you look at it for too long, and it just looks terrible when it's scratched. Piano black trim looks good, but soon becomes very tatty. So overall, it's a bad idea. Please stop it. Most modern cars have various different driving modes, and you can access them through the press of the button, and they do things like stiffen up the adaptive suspension if you've got it fitted, add weight to the steering, all that kind of stuff. However, some cars have modes which are just completely pointless from the get-go. For instance, a Hyundai Ioniq hybrid has a sport mode. An Alfa Romeo has something called all-weather mode. You're not going to use all weather. It's not really going to help you out if it starts to snow a lot. You're still going to be stuck in your Giulia Quadrifoglio, aren't you? Then the worst offender is BMW. And there's quite a lot of BMWs in this list. I think they like their fads. BMWs have something called Eco Pro mode, which basically makes the car feel like you've removed half of the engine cylinders. An M8 has an Eco Pro mode. Who on earth is going to put their M8 in Eco Pro mode? What is the point? Why did you buy an M8? You may as well have just bought a blooming i3. Finally, we come to the last new trend that does need to be stopped. And it is starter buttons in absolutely every single car. Now, I kind of got it in sports cars. It like adds to the experience, and you get in your sports car, your sporty seats, and you press the button to start that engine and it snarls into life. But why do you just need it on a basic hatchback? You don't. And the annoying thing about these start button things is that at least when you put the key in the ignition, you had somewhere to keep the key. Now you have to keep it in your pocket, so it's a bit uncomfortable when you're driving, or you put it in a cubby hole and then it's just rattling the whole time when you're driving along, or you put it in a very secret cubby hole and forget where it is, and then you're screwed. We don't need all the start buttons. The old way was better.